when so many others have not. For every heretic we confess, for every betrayer that burns on our pyres, new sheep continue to flock to Iavara Ix Incios. But not you. I underestimated you in the beginning, but no longer.
You honor me, Grand Inquisitor.
It is not for honor that I summoned you today, but for duty. Too many of our own have confessed upon the wheel and the rack and the flame. Too many of our faithful have had their minds poisoned by the Kratom witch. The tide is against us now. We have but one option. Iavara's following must see her exposed for what she is. She must confess her heresy before my court.
How would we reach her?
Not in Kratom, surely. Their lord has embraced her heathen faith and protects her with his army. But in Oceanus, things would be different. The king of Oceanus is a sinful man. We have helped him to see the error of his ways, and now he fears for his soul. He would pay any price for absolution.
But how will we get Iavara to move to Oceanus?
You have already done much for the Inquisition. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
Theos puts his hand on your shoulder. Okay.
Whew, good thing I sold most of my jewelry.
Okay, let's see. Blood Sand is that way. We'll start with that. Oh, never mind. Oh. Oh, the sisters. Two identical women seem to fade into view as they move away from the great trees that camouflage them. Their skin is tree bark, ridged and scaly, wreathed in a curling tangle of roots, buds, and blooms. Their hair hangs beneath their shade of serrated leaves, like the drooping branches of the elms above. And the pupils of their eyes are encircled by hundreds or even thousands of concentric rings, as if to mark the accumulated wisdom of millennia.
Turn around, flesh creature. Outsiders are not permitted to approach the elms.
One of them extends a snarl of roots towards you that snakes and twists together to form something like an open hand, palm down. The other stares at you unblinking, and as her frown deepens, her face creaks. Do you not feel it, sister? Something familiar, an ancient soul, like the other one. Another defiler, no doubt. Let us fell her and be troubled no more. It would pay the debt of our predecessor.
So it would seem, Rhiannon. But we must not hasten to judgment. I see a different motive here. Different questions in these eyes.
What of it, young trespasser? Is it as my sister says? Or are you here to stain this place with foul deeds?
I have forgotten my purpose in the presence of such legendary beauty, but have I begun hallucinating in double? Spoken with the transparent eagerness of one whose deformed little stamen has never successfully transferred gametophytes to even the most desperate of pistols, and we wouldn't know a carpal if an herbalist drew her a map.
You must excuse my sister's temper, old one. Trust me when I say that my sister and I have truly heard them all.
Sita conceals her mouth behind the sprigs of her fingers, but her amusement is poorly hidden.
Fortunately, you are easier to read than my sister. You are here for the man Theos Exarchanon. This is clear to me. The answer is yes, old one. We crossed paths with Theos not long ago, and we can tell you where he went. But I find it curious that anyone would seek him out. Suspicious, even. If we are to help you find him, we would know why.
He must face justice for his transgression. Rhiannon perks up. I like her better now, Sita.
Indeed. A kindred spirit, it seems. But that's what this is really about, isn't it? You are tied to him.
Sita glances over at you, and then her expression changes, as though seeing you for the first
I
time.
see it now. You are awakened. Your soul is awake, and something once buried deep now wells to the surface. Past overwhelms present, closes in around you. Your time has nearly reached its end.
I just need to get to Theos.
I'm sorry to tell you this, but Theos cannot give you what you seek. Nor can any man. An awakening cannot be undone, any more than your past can be undone.
What's she mean? I thought Merwold said, Ella's face is rigid. This is permanent? We did not come down this road together to be refused passage by a pair of talking saplings. Madiko, there must be some way. So this has all been for nothing, and I'm going to lose my mind.
The soul is formless without a past to shape it. Did you truly expect to be able to wipe it away?
I would live with it if I could.
That is the penance we all pay. But penance cannot be paid for a past only known in fragments and glimpses. However, as much as my sister speaks truly that there is no way back from an awakening, there may yet be a way forward. Would you agree, Sheeva?
Oh, Sheeta. It's pronounced Sheeta.
I would. Were the way not so likely to end in death.
Death may be preferable to what lies in store for me.
It may, but not all deaths are alike, and the man you pursue is versed in thousands of them.
The man Theos you must already know by now. You are linked by a common past. Something about it lingers within you, festering, unresolved. What it is I cannot see any more than you. And without that knowledge, your doom is certain. But were you to learn the source of this discord, perhaps it could be put to rest. Though it is equally possible it will trouble you as much now as it did then, and merely speed your condition to its end.
My past comes to me in pieces. How do I unlock the rest?
You might wait for it to come on its own, of course. But when it comes, it will replace your sanity's last breath. Such is the nature of your condition.
Or you could learn it from someone who already knows.
Theos, would you remember?
It is said the gods made his memory perfect, that he may never forget his charge. If he ever knew, he still does.
Now there's a rough punishment.
Not that he would tell you, of course.
You have followed the right person for the wrong reason, it seems. We see it often beneath the elms. The soul dragging mind and body to unknown places for unfathomable reasons. You may have wandered into Theos' path many times, in many lifetimes, without an awakening to show you why.
The only thing that's certain is you did not find what you sought.
You said you know where he went.
He has gone down beneath the tower to a place older than we, where the people of Engwith once walked. He makes his way to the buried city, Sun and Shadow.
May he stay down there and rot with the remains of his people.
He may yet. He won't be returning the way he came, that much is certain. He opened a secret path in the tower's base, and saw it destroyed behind him through some vile means.
Is there another way to get to him?
We know of one. On the burial isle, through the court of the penitents, Braeth Yaman. A shortcut, in fact.
Don't be cruel, sister. The way my sister speaks of is not for the faint of heart. A great pit at the center of a forgotten court, where faiths were judged in place of crimes. To most, it is simply a gateway to death. With the help of the gods, it can take you where you want to go.
What do you mean, with the help of the gods?
The pit is said to have been a means of judgment by the gods. Those cast into it are meant to die, It is that way you must pass to reach Sun and Shadow. The court is old. We do not know much for certain, but it would seem only the gods themselves can grant passage.
What is this court?
No more than a ruin now. It is older than we, a place for the trial of heretics. We were not here to witness it, but at one time there was a group that refused to acknowledge the gods. Neither the first nor the last, of course, but these were numerous and all put on trial for it. Those who did not repent were cast into the pit and imprisoned below. The fall killed them, of course. The prison was not for people but for their souls, and their sentences were eternal. It is said that many of the condemned repented and were permitted by the gods to ascend from the pit, so long as they pledged their service to one of them. But these are old legends.
How would I ever get the gods to help me?
Behind us is Ter Evron, said to pierce the shroud itself and a place of communion with all gods. If ever there was a time for prayer, you have found it.
Who would I pray to? Any god you can, I should think.
I would pray first to those gods you like best. I hope for your sake the feeling is shared.
How do I pray?
Ter Evron is also called the Hall of Stars, and the stars show us the allegiances of the gods. When stars are in conjunction, we know the gods they represent are aligned as well. You should choose a place to pray where you'll be closest to those you want to hear you. If a god stands alone, you should pray to that god. If they band together, you should address them all. Choose your words wisely, for all gods expect proper homage, and none has patience for fools.
Is there no other way?
None.
So the only way to get through this pit is to pray for help.
Not the only way. Just the only one that doesn't end with your body impaled on jagged rocks.
I have other questions.
What do you wish to know?
How did you know I was pursuing Theos?
The same way that you are no doubt able to peer into the ether and experience the souls of others. It is something we are born with, some more, some less. A gift common to many creatures of the wilds. You share certain similarities with the man you pursue. For your sake, I pray they are few and of no consequence.
You mentioned that people come to these elms without knowing why. Hey, Ravenclaw, so you're back home. How was it? I hope it wasn't too painful. Are you feeling a little bit better? A soul has a will on its own. Its needs and whims are seldom understood, but they follow them all the same.
There is something about this place that reaches beyond our understanding, something like a beacon. The elms have a way of uniting souls that have been seeking one another, with or without their owner's awareness. Sometimes it is for love, sometimes for vengeance, sometimes for peace. Often it is for no reason we will ever know. In your case, let us hope it is for peace.
Or vengeance.
Sorzel, I can't be out of bed at all today. Can only go up to... Oh no, that's unfortunate. Oh. I hope it gets better though, Raven. I wanted to know about the two of you.
There is little to be said about us, for we are bound here, caretakers and defenders of this place. Our journey has been over time, but not distance, measured in observations, but not experiences. We have seen the elms grow tall. We have seen cities built, burned, and built again. The only constant has been the tower, a silent companion through the ages. You can imagine why this recent destruction has stirred my sister so.
If you do nothing else, make that man pay for what he did here.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, rest well then. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if you feel better after a while. I need to know about praying for the support of the gods.
There is little.
Noops.
We have seen the elm. We will tell you what we can. Before you go, tell me this, old one. I'm curious. If you were to subdue your enemy, what would you do with him? What would give you peace?
I wish to undo the harm he's caused.
You would need to have twice as many lifetimes as he to repair his savage work.
But perhaps there are strides you can make.
All the same, think on this matter. Be assured in your course. In the end, it may mean all the difference, not just to his soul, but to yours. And be warned. Some questions have answers that can never be learned. And it is those that trouble the soul above all others. May you find an answer to yours.
Okay.
Whew, good thing I sold most of my jewelry.
That was enlightening. I wonder what's because these guys are the people that sacrifice people, so I wonder if I can take the opportunity to kill them all as well. Grieving Mother traveled from Engman's Abbey to the Bay of Crowns, investigating the various reports of vampire appearances. In each case, Grieving Mother discovered that the grave sites had elaborate glass, copper, and other devices buried around them. The indistinctive intricacy of the devices was traced to a valiant dwarf that had been shunned for his unpleasant practices in Salona and Sensei. When captured, the dwarf claimed his intent was not to create vampires but to restore life. The vampires were created due to the dwarf's inability to solve a fundamental problem with his machinery. This incredible frequency of the dwarf's activity was not due to co-conspirators, but rather his extensive use of drugs that kept him awake and frantic for days on end. Once confronted, the dwarf put up no fight and allowed himself to be taken into custody. When Grieving Mother left him, he was awaiting trial in Telenir. And we got this. Okay. Whatever. Cool. A dwarven man stands motionless near the roaring fire that lights the cavern. Your sacrifice feeds the land, supplicants. Come forth. A gust of smoke curls around him, licking the charred flesh that bulges on his forearm. They suddenly flex. Estermore. The dwarf holds his fist in a tight grip. Your kin doesn't come here to share with the tribes. What do you want? What's this place? Blood Sands. The dwarf picks on his scarred forearm. His guttural sigh mingles with the crackling of wood and bones behind him. As I said, Estramorn rarely visit our halls. The Glenfattens calls this place Blood Sands. We call it home. The Ithic Null have tended the land from within this cave since before the arrival of the tribes to Twin Elms. Garrus crosses his arms. Be warned, Estramor. We bleed life to nurture it. Our sacrifices may strike you as a savage, but the health of these lands depends on them, and it's unseemly for guests to insult their hosts. Tell me about the sacrifices. Garrus spreads his stocky legs apart and locks his forearms. Everything must die to return anew, Estramor. Though these sacrificial rites, we offer supplicants the honor of giving their most precious gift back to their brethren, back to the land. The dwarf lifts his fist, and thick, mottled by red scar. The blood gives us the strength. Even the Glenfattens have come to depend on the blood paint. They brim with power before battle, all thanks to the sacrifice of their kin. Tell me about Ithic Null. Our order has strived for generations. Before we came to Twin Elms, our rites fed the lands of the eastern mountains. Now we share blood for our Glenfath. Garrus opens his palms. Strikes of red skin run through them like flames. To everything that must hand, our sacrifice bring a new beginning. He looks up. We sustain what's to come. Remember, Estramor, you're a guest in these halls. Respect our ways and we'll tolerate your presence among them. That's the thing, I'm not sure I want to respect your ways. A sense taken by force may sustain one, but a sense given freely empowers many. Smoke curls up from these charred skeletons. The smell is nauseating.
Eyes open.
I wonder what we'll find in this. Seems to be a pretty huge cavern. Another keeper.
Many blessings, traveler.
The elderly dwarf blinks at you, not quite looking at you. Her eyes are pale and clouded with cataracts. Welcome to the Bloodsand. It is rare that an Estramor sets foot in these caverns. Her sightless eyes fix on you as she tilts her head. What brings you here, I wonder? What do you do here? I sell and maintain certain goods for the preservation of our order, and I perform some of our ritual sacrifices. Something more? How do these sacrifices work? Like any worthwhile ritual, it's too complex to explain in detail. It involves clothing the supplicant's essence, binding it to their life's blood, and drawing it into a container or vessel. Tell me about the Bloodsands. This is the raw, bloody heart of Air Glenfath, where some come to give their essence back to their people. Her dry lips bend into a sardonic grin, where others seek a noble escape from their trials. The legacy of the builders of the tribes was not merely Adra and stone, but a sense of community. It is here that Glenfathans come to sacrifice what is most precious, even their own lives, to preserve it. What do you have for sale? Okay, she's got major endurance potion, which is good. We want that. And that'll be that for that. Cool. Okay, so that's not what I was expecting. I'm trying to find a reason to kill them all. I know, sounds savage, but... Earth Blight, just walking around? How big is this place? It's pretty big. The bravest sons and daughters fall not by the swords of Estramorn, but by the daggers of their brethren. Okay. You guys are weird.
And what do we have here?
What have we here?
Hey there.
Get it safe.
Hey, hey.
Ow. Shh.
Sure.
Look at all that blood. Good lord, man. You guys are crazy. A sense within to nurture flesh, and a sense without to strengthen it. Kalima! The heat emanating from this pole threatens to singe the flesh of your face. Ugh. Let's not singe my face. I like it the way it is.
I see where you're going with that. Give me a real challenge.
Dude, there are so many of them. It's crazy. It's clearly made like a dungeon. Like you could turn on all of them and just like kill people. The petitioner before you is swaddled in loose-fitting robes. Her hair is greasy and matted. A glossy film of sweat and grime coats her exposed skin. She has the swollen features of pregnancy and several missing teeth in her big, grinning smile. As you approach, she slowly turns to you and examines you from head to toe, smiling the entire time. "Joyous day to you," she says. Despite coming from a wearied body, her voice sounds resonant and relaxed. "I am Neka, midwife and lore keeper." Her hands run across a slight bulge in her belly. She rolls her head back and sighs a relaxed purr. "Are you feeling well?" "Flawless," she replies. "Apologies, I should be left to my meditation. The rites of strength is invigorating, almost overwhelming to the senses." She reaches down and cradles her belly in her hands and turns away. Okay. You guys are really weird. You're weirding me out, man. "There is no greater honor than dying for one's tribe. If some fall in battle, how is this different?" I don't have an answer for you, man. Y'all are cray-cray. Y'all are cray-cray. Oh.
As your blood flows, so shall your essence. Your life's energy shall feed the soil, and your soul's energy shall enrich the community. This is by your own choosing, supplicant?
A dwarven man stands on a raised platform beneath him. An elf lies prone on a stone table. As you get closer, you hear the dwarf speak in gravelly monotone. "Hey, Tiger Mark! Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for the compliment, man. I do appreciate it. You're awesome." Yes, the elf voice is high but even. The dwarf grips a hatchet with both hands and raises it over his head. He throws his shoulders forward and swings the weapon into the elf's chest, connecting with the meaty thump. Blood gushes around the table and the sacrifice's screams rend the air. Alat's lips curl with disgust. This is why I prefer the one to the blade. Despite his earlier agreement, the elf trashes atop the stone table, his torso arcing while his arms and legs remain tied in place. Meanwhile, the dwarf spread his arms wide and allows blood to spatter his robes. When the elf is finally silent and still, the dwarf pulls his hatchet from the body and wipes it on his hem. Streaks of red-brown blood and globs of tissues have worked themselves into the minute grooves of the stone. Minutes.
What's ahead?
The dwarf wears crimson robes, are stained and streaked with dark patches. His face is smooth but lacking youthful elasticity. It's as if the lines and wrinkles have been formed and erased many times over. He watches you with eyes like two black pits as he wipes his hatchet on his robe. Ale, Estramor.
No one comes to Blood Sands without a purpose. What is yours?
His voice is deep and rough-edged. It echoes like a river in an ancient cave. Who are you?
I am the Archdruid of the Ethnic Null. For centuries it has been my duty to guide our rituals and guard our knowledge. It is work that requires a certain resilience, but it is not without its benefits.
Reston's eerily smooth face is motionless as he watches you. You murdered a man right here. He lowers his head. Your simplistic morals do not apply here, Estramor. Murder does not enter into it.
It was a sacrifice, and one willingly entered into. The survival of all things depends on balance. Give and take.
The smooth skin at the corner of his mouth and eyes wrinkles for one brief instant. This principle lies at the heart of all power. Expending something of value releases energy. Energy